Row creating. Welcome. So last week we finished off with the box. Now I want to get my storage sorted out for my little bins. So I have vertical cases and I want to keep them separated. I'm just going to use 2x1 here. Now, with the 2x1 I didn't want to have big vertical ones sticking up the bottom. So I decided I'd just take an inch slice off each of those, just to kind of guide them into their home. And take a little cut off, an angle cut off those, so again you're not going to have any sharp corners. Give them a bit of a sanding. And now you'll just have little guides for these boxes to slide in and out. So glue in the back of each of those, box in. You'll see here I'm putting cardboard in between the box and the little slip. The reason for that is just to give a tiny little gap, maybe like ½ a millimeter, just so that it won't be catching when I'm sliding it in and out. So next thing to do is to put guides in the back. Now for this I'm just going to use 2x1 rough, okay, drill a couple of pilot holes in and put screws in that'll, like it's only going to be screwed into plywood, a ½ inch sheet of plywood, so you only need about a 10mm grip. So once you have the screws kind of pre-placed in that, it's a simple task, construction glue on the back, in with the box, in with the back guide, and screw her in place. Then next box, and rinse and repeat. So once you're finished with that, sure, there's nothing left to do really except painting it black. I decided I'd give this 2 coats because it's going to be getting a bit of abuse. 1, 2, 3, and it's done. So box is in. Happy days. So then above my miter saw, I want to kind of enclose that area. So got a little piece of ½ inch ply, marked it, cut it, and I'm going to put that in above that miter saw. It's kind of, now the sockets are completely separated from the sawdust. Happy days, that's what I wanted. Once that was done, then I wanted to put another piece of 3/4 inch up on the top. Continue the look of what I'm going for. This will be varnished, everything else will be painted black. Work around any obstacles you come across. Mark out what you need to cut. Get your jigsaw. Do some cutting. And slot him into place. So, tack everything into place. And then it's time for some trim. I like trim. So again, working everything to length, cutting everything at 45. Just use the miter block to help me here. And just tack her in place. Keep going. That really wasn't enough trim for me. I wanted to clean up the box. So, sure, look, I had trim, I may as well use it. So I decided to do a little bit of decorating on this. Wrap things around corners. Always like doing that. It's just adding detail. And as if that wasn't enough, sure, put a bit more trim in the front of it. See here I've already cleaned off the inside of the box with a rasp, just rounded all the edges, and now as I'm putting on the trim I'm doing the same thing. I just have a little surform or a rasp and I'm just cleaning off the edge as I go along. And any place that I think wants a bit of trim, I put on some trim. I think that's enough. Yeah, that's enough. So So now, before I go painting, I'm going to fill all the little holes from all the pinheads. Once they've all been filled, then I'm going to get out my sandpaper and my rasp and just clean and clean and clean. Just give everything a rub, soften off all those edges, and give it a dust out, and then we know what's coming next. All just blends in, finishes it off. 2, 3, and there you go. Lovely. Next thing I wanted to do then was sort out that little dust spout out the back of the saw. It wasn't going to work in the way that it was there because it's just not going to be very user friendly. So rather than build something new, I thought I'd doctor the one I had and cut the bits off it that I didn't need and cut it in a way that I could use it. So did a little bit of surgery. My idea here is to unfold this shape and then attach in, and I just hit my pliers with the angle grinder there. That's not clever. But my idea here is to open it out and to attach it onto a 90-degree 1.5" elbow from just a plumber's store. I found one behind the shed. So in order to do that, small bolts, small nuts and washers, and then drill a few holes so I can attach in a new. There, it's a 90 1.5" with the bottom face of it cut off. So now with the wood sawdust as it's being thrown at the back of the saw, it's going to be forced downwards to the 2 outlets for the vacuum. That's the plan anyway. Now with a couple of scrap pieces of 1/2" ply, I kind of built these little baffles on the inside of the inside of that case where all that sawdust is going to be swirling around. And what I'm trying to do here, just doctoring a few pieces, I'm trying to localize and isolate the dust as much as I can, and I'm trying to have as few flat surfaces as I can, just to kind of ease the sawdust in. Again, it's all aiming towards the ports of the vacuum. That's my kind of concept there. Limit the amount of space for dust to be flying around. Now again, with the shape of my saw, it really dictated what I could do here about covering the front area of it. So what I did was got some cardboard, did a few mock-ups, took some measurements, played around with the cardboard until the cardboard was right. So as you can see, I can, with the saw, with the way that it is at the moment, I can completely block off that left hand side and still manage to take my 45-degree cuts. So he's fairly good. Once he's sorted out, trace him out onto a sheet of 1/2" ply and then cut him out. Now he fits in pretty good. I put a little lip on the bottom of it there just to help rest it up on that front edge. And just tack him into place. Now I wanted to come up with a way that I could attach this in, so magnets seem to be a good idea. So one magnet up in the corner, rest him in, and he stays in place. There was a small little area on the right hand side that I could actually afford to block off as well, so all these small little increments will make a more efficient system. So small incremental changes. So get that piece ready, in he goes, glue and tack. And black. Now you can see what I mean by those little baffles. It's just helping aim the dust down into those ports. Small increments of efficiency. Lovely.
Isn't springtime lovely? Thank you for joining me. thank you for joining me watching building this thing that I'm after building. I really like it. Built-in miter saw, slidery, mitery, measury thingy. Really can't live without that now. That is so worth it. Up here, all my bits and pieces, my little screws, my little tacks, my little bits, I'm always using them. Right here beside my dog's body bench. Now, thank you very much for liking. Thank you, please subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And if you join me next week, you might just find out what this little orange button does. Thank you.